Hello everyone, this is Damon with Pixnahub Software. This is video 3 in a series of videos I'm doing for how to set up actions to make your PSD templates dynamic. Now the templates shown in this video already have actions created to make them dynamic, and those actions come with the templates. So if you want to follow along and learn, you have the option to actually purchase these templates because it might be a little easier to follow along in the videos, and those are available on the Pixnahub website. Now if you haven't watched the previous 2 videos, I suggest doing that, and in particular the second video in the series with this night game template where I showed how to set up all of the actions from start to finish. I really suggest watching that because a lot of the same steps in there are used in the other templates I'm going to be showing here, so I'm not going to repeat all of those same steps. But what I do want to show in this particular video, because it really deserves its own video, is for how to deal with situations with more complex text that isn't going to work with the technique that I showed in the night game template. So if you remember in the night game template, all of the color adjustments were done using just a very basic system where there's adjustment layers clipped to that text layer where it's just going to adjust the color. Now this does not work very well in all situations, and so I'll just demonstrate here just so it'll be a little bit easier just to show you here, but that's not going to work for all different types of text layers. So for example, this year text in the volleyball template, I'm just going to bring those layers over and clip those to the year, and you see that we have now got the blue adjustment layer. It's not doing anything. Well, the orange is already gold, so it'd be a little more difficult to see, but the purple, for example, is not doing anything. So these adjustment layers are not doing anything at all to adjust the color of this year layer, and that is because the color of that is actually contained within the layer style under the outer glow, and these adjustment layers clipped to the text layer will not change that outer glow, and most of the colors within the layer style will override any adjustment layers, so the adjustment layers have no effect. And so that just brings me to the point that, and I've mentioned this in the first 2 videos, this is not a paint by numbers type of a thing. You can't watch one of these tutorials or even get one of these templates for that matter and then copy and paste the layer styles, or not the style, but the layers themselves from one template to another, and you can't just expect the same exact actions to work in a completely different template. So you really have to understand the concepts of what the actions are doing, and that way you can adapt what you're creating for your own templates. So the Orioles template, that's a little more complex layer style, and I'll show you what happens on that team name if we paste those same adjustment layers here. Okay, so now we've got the blue adjustment, and you might see that it has some effect on the font, but in this case it's not really what we want. It's not making it all blue. It's kind of partially blue with some brown around it. And this layer style actually is quite a bit more complex. There is a lot of colors within the layer style that are all going, and there's even gradients with colors, and all of these together are creating the overall look of the font, as well as the base color of the font. So that is the color. When you double click, you get the color up here, and that is also the same color that's contained in the character tab. So a combination of those go into making this font style. And so with situations like this, we have to use a different method in the action in order to change that. Now, I know some people are thinking too that we could use hide and show by duplicating the text layer itself, and then, for example, we could change this color. Let's just make it blue. I'm not going to actually change all of these because I'm not going to set up a gradient. Anyway, good enough. Let's just call that good. We'll pretend this is exactly what we wanted. But I know a lot of people are thinking we could go and create a new team name and then have the action hide one and show the other when we want to toggle between those. Now that will work if your text is static to where you know that you're not changing the text at all. So if every team was Orioles, then yeah, you could get away with doing that. Or if this was for maybe a league name that you know is not going to change, but you wanted to change the color with your team, you could do that. But in the case where you have a dynamic text to where the actual text might change from Orioles to Blue Jays to Red Sox, for example, using this method is not going to work because if you're running Sports Photo Automation, it's going to look for a column with a certain name to the layer to change the text. So our team name is going to be in the team name column. So it's going to look for a layer called team name. And if you have multiple, it's not going to know which one to select. And if we name them both the same, that's really going to confuse it. So what we have to do is, instead of doing it that way, there's actually two ways it could be done. One way is you could record your action to actually go in and edit your layer style. I don't like doing that because for a couple of reasons, but the main one is that if you ever want to change the look of your style, you have to remake your actions. And so I don't like that method because of that reason. So the method that is the best is to have a separate group below that's got text layers that have the layer styles you need. But this is hidden, so it's not being used. And then it's a very simple action to just copy the layer style from the text layer below and paste that to the layer above. And these actions will run after Sports Photo Automation replaces the text. So if your team name was Blue Jays, it would first go to this team name text, replace the text with Blue Jays or whatever your text is. Then at the end, when the actions run, it grabs the layer styles it needs and replaces that text layer style. And so I've got two examples here because the Orioles is going to require a couple more steps than this volleyball text will. So I'm going to show you both of these just so you know all the steps depending on your situation. I'll start with this one because it's the easiest. And I've got a temp set called volleyball temp. I'll just make my action in here. So to record this action, I'm just going to do new action, and we'll call this blue year. So the first step in the action has to go select this layer that we want to copy the style from. So select blue year, then right click, and then copy layer style. Now be careful too where you right click, because if you right click over to the left over the name of it, you're not going to see copy layer style. Oh, never mind, you do. If you right click a little bit further left over the text icon, then you're not going to see copy layer style. So just make sure that you're clicking far enough to the right so you see that copy layer style. Because remember, if you click on the text icon, it doesn't show. Okay, so those are the first two steps of the action. The next step of the action is going to select the layer where we want to paste the layer style. So that selects layer year. Now this next step is very important, and it's one that you think may not be needed, and it's not needed in all cases, but I suggest always doing this, and that's to clear the layer styles. So you right click and clear layer style, and then you right click and paste layer style. And the reason why that is needed is in certain situations, here let me stop this first because our action is done. That's the only steps we need. But the reason why this on clear layer style is needed is because in certain situations you might have different elements within the layer style that one of your styles is using and the other is not. And in that case, what can happen is you can get the new layer style when you paste can be a mix of both layer styles. So it's not the exact layer style from below because it's carrying over some elements from the previous layer style. It doesn't happen in all situations. I don't know if it's a Photoshop bug or if that's by design, but in any case, using this clear current layer style will prevent that from ever happening, and this doesn't add any time. So always before you paste your layer style, clear the current layer style. It's really easy to do. So now if we want to create the rest of the colors, we just need to create more actions for that. But as you remember from the previous video, I always like to duplicate actions and just change what's needed instead of re-recording every action because it saves a whole bunch of time. So if we just duplicate this action, let's call this green year. And if you notice, these two actions are identical other than this first step, which is the step that's selecting the layer that contains the layer style we need. So all we need to do is hit record on this green year, go over and select that layer that has the style we want, and then we can hit stop on the recording. And then you can move that into place and delete the other one. Okay, so really easy. So let's test these. So the green year should make this green, and the blue year should make it blue, which it does. So very, very simple. And then, of course, you would repeat that same step by duplicating these for each of the colors you want, and then just selecting the proper layer. Now, only these 5 steps are needed in this example because all of these, they're setting the outer glow only in the layer style. That's where this color is being set. But the actual base color of your font style here is black for all these. It doesn't change. So because of that, we don't need to do any additional steps. Now this base color, by the way, that is the color that if you double click the text to change it, that is this color that's displayed up here in the menu bar. That's the same color that's in this character tab. Now for the case of the Orioles template, if you go, let's go down and look at these text styles. So these text styles large, this is the one for the team name in this particular template. But this base color is changing as well as the colors within the layer style are changing. Copying and pasting a layer style will not copy over the base color. So that's really easy to do. So I'm going to go through setting up the action for this one and just show you the couple extra steps that are needed. So if we go to the Orioles template, let's just make a new action and call this blue team name. Okay, so the same thing. We're going to go to the hidden layer style from the bottom. That's called blue text style. And by the way, I mean, for your templates, you're going to have to set all these up, of course, these different redundant layer styles. Well, not redundant, but all of these text layers with the different styles. You have to set those up on your own for your own templates. I'm just showing you the steps to record the action. But in any case, so select that, copy the layer style. Then we're going to go up to the team name, select that. Remember, we have to clear the layer style first. Always do that step, and that just clears it. So now we're just seeing the base color here once that's cleared. And then paste the layer style. I'm going to hit stop on the action now. And as you can see, this does not look blue. It's not the color we want. Well, that's because the layer style that we pasted has all of the blue elements within the layer style, but the base color is brown, so we're seeing this mix of those. And so what we need to do now is we're already on the team name, so I don't want to record steps to select and reselect that, so I stopped the recording. I'm just going down now to the blue layer style. And now I'm going to do this in the character tab. You don't want to record this step by double clicking and changing this, because that's going to change, or that's going to record a lot more things in your action step than just the color, and it can cause some unwanted effects when the action runs. So don't do it that way. We're going to actually, well, I'm not to that step yet. Okay, let me backtrack here. So first thing I need to do is get the color. So I'm just going to go to here, go to the character tab. I'm going to copy that hexadecimal value, so copy. I'm going to go back up to my team name, and now I'm going to record the step to change that color. But as mentioned, I don't want to double click and change the color here. It'll do the same thing to change the color, but this is going to record extra things in the action that we don't want. So that's not what we want to do. We need this character tab, and if you don't see that, you can go to Window and Character, and that'll show that. So I'm on the team name now. I'm just going to hit record and then paste that value in there. And now we've got the blue color there. So now we see the font looks correct. Now we still have this this flare above the team name. That's the wrong color. So your action would have to also record the hide and show. And that's identical to what we talked about in the night game template setup. That's just using the hide and show technique. So that's how to do the blue team name. Let me duplicate this again. Let's just go through this one more time. I didn't want to, oops, not what I wanted to do. I wanted to duplicate just the action, not the group. Let's call this green team name. Okay, so for the case of this, there's two steps that are different, and that is the step that sets the color and the step that selects the blue style. So we need to replace both of these steps in the action with the green. So if I hit record on this and then go down and select the green. So by the way, if you hit record on the action, it will start recording the next step from where you have selected in the action. So if you have the group selected or the action, it'll start recording on the bottom. In any case, you can always move around. So if you recorded it and went to the bottom, you can move it up where it needs to be. But then we're going to get rid of that select blue step. So now our new action selects the green step, copies the style, selects team name, clears the style, and then it pastes the style. So we're pasting the green, but then it's still setting the text to that blue color. So what we need to do now is we need to get the hexadecimal value from this green. Now I'm going to go up to this team name. I'm going to delete this step. And so now I want to start recording again, because I'm going to now put in that green value and hit OK. And so now it's setting this color to the green. So if I play each of these, and again, your main action would have the steps to replace that flare as well with the hide and show. But from the other video, you should know how to do that already. So let's play this blue team name. display this green team name. So it's properly selecting that. Now in your actual action here in the Orioles template, I was just showing you in this how to change that font, but in the actual Orioles template action, the green, you see it's got more steps than we just recorded there. It's using the hide and show layers for the flare. As I showed in the last video, all that's doing is setting that flare. And then those steps that we just recorded, those 6 steps that we just recorded, you see those right here. Those are setting that text. And then there's 6 more steps that are doing the same exact thing for this number here. So it's the same exact procedure, but if I move this out so we can see it, it's selecting the small text style, and that's this group down here with the smaller text style. That's for the number. Copy the styles, selects the number, paste the layer styles, or clears it and then paste it, and then sets the color of your text. So it's just repeating the same steps. So if you have multiple text layers that are going to require the layer styles to be replaced, you just repeat each of these sets of steps for each of those. Now I'm not going to go over start to finish how everything in the Orioles template was built here, because like I say, a lot of this is just repeat from the last video I did on this night game. So be sure to watch this video if you haven't. This is the one that you should watch before this video you're watching. But the same thing with the custom examples where it's doing it's setting up all the different elements by playing actions within the same set. That's all the same as the video I show for here. So I hope this wasn't too confusing for people. I know this seems like it's pretty advanced, although it's really not. If you go through this video a few times, if you didn't pick it all up this time, once you do this a couple times, it's really, really very easy. It's basically, you're just going to create text layers with the layer styles you need. Once you've got those, you move those to the bottom of your template and then hide those. They're not doing anything. I even make them red so I know that they're not doing anything. I like to designate red with the eyeball unchecked, so that way I know that they're unused other than for the actions. And then you just set up your actions to copy and paste. And the great thing about doing it this way, as I mentioned before, is if you ever want to change how this one of your text styles looks, so if you just copy and paste that, now you have a layer here. You could work on this, edit the style as you needed, and then remove that layer back down and hide it again. And that way you don't have to re-record your action, because the action is not actually telling it what goes in the styles. All it's doing is saying copy styles. So it's just looking for that name, and then it's copying whatever is contained in this style, if that makes sense. Anyway, I hope this wasn't too confusing for everybody. And as mentioned, these templates come with these actions already built for you. So if you're not somebody who wants to mess with creating your own, there's templates available on Pixneb that are already dynamically set up for the users with these actions. So you just use the actions as is. But for the people who want to really dive in and edit things and create your own, hopefully these videos are helping you to learn, even though it may be a little advanced. I'm hoping a lot of people are picking this up. Anyways, thanks for watching.